Story 1. Echoes of Dormitory 13. My name is Emily, and I never believed in ghosts until I moved into Dormitory 13 at St. Augustine University. It was supposed to be the start of an exciting new chapter in my life, but instead, it became a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. As soon as I stepped into the old dormitory building, I felt a chill run down my spine. The air was heavy with the scent of decay, and the walls seemed to whisper secrets from another time. My roommate Sarah tried to brush off my unease with a nervous laugh, but I could tell she felt it too. The rumors about Dormitory 13 were hard to ignore. They said it was haunted by the ghost of a former student who had died under mysterious circumstances decades ago. Some claimed to have seen her wandering the halls at night, her pale face twisted in agony. Others spoke of strange noises coming from empty rooms and objects moving on their own. At first, I dismissed it all as superstition. After all, I was a rational person, not prone to believing in the supernatural. But as the days passed, strange things began to happen. It started with small incidents. A door slamming shut when no one was nearby, whispers echoing through the empty corridors, shadows darting across the walls. I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination running wild, but deep down, I knew there was something sinister lurking in Dormitory 13. Sarah and I weren't the only ones affected. Our neighbors, Josh and Emma, complained of nightmares and feelings of dread that seemed to grow stronger with each passing night. We tried to laugh it off, telling ourselves it was just stress from adjusting to college life, but the fear lingered in the back of our minds. One night, unable to sleep, I decided to explore the dormitory's history in the university archives. What I found chilled me to the bone. Decades ago, a young woman named Rebecca had lived in Dormitory 13. She had been a promising student with a bright future ahead of her until one fateful night when she disappeared without a trace. The official story was that she had committed suicide by jumping from the roof, but rumors persisted that foul play was involved. Armed with this knowledge, I delved deeper into the mystery surrounding Rebecca's death. I spoke to older students who had known her, hoping to uncover the truth buried beneath layers of time. What I discovered was more horrifying than I could have imagined. Rebecca had been involved in a secret society that dabbled in the occult. They believed they could harness supernatural powers to achieve their goals, but their experiments had gone horribly wrong. Rebecca had been the first to fall victim to their dark rituals, her spirit trapped in Dormitory 13 for eternity. As the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, I realized that we were not alone in the dormitory. Rebecca's ghost was real, and she was growing stronger with each passing day, feeding off our fear and despair. I knew we had to find a way to put her spirit to rest before it was too late. With the help of Josh, Emma, and a few other brave souls, we embarked on a dangerous journey to unravel the mystery of Dormitory 13. We conducted seances, performed ancient rituals, and delved into forbidden texts in search of a solution. But the more we learned, the more we realized the extent of Rebecca's power. She was not just a vengeful spirit seeking retribution. She was a force of nature capable of destroying anyone who stood in her way. In the end, it was Sarah who found the answer we had been searching for. Hidden in the depths of the university library, she discovered a forgotten journal belonging to Rebecca herself. In its pages, Rebecca chronicled her descent into madness and her desperate attempts to break free from the curse that bound her to Dormitory 13. Armed with this newfound knowledge, we confronted Rebecca's ghost in a final showdown that would determine the fate of us all. It was a battle of wills, fought on the border between the living and the dead, where reality blurred and nightmares became real. As we stood face to face with Rebecca's ghost in the dimly lit hallway of Dormitory 13, I felt a surge of determination wash over me. We couldn't let her terrorize us any longer. Sarah clutched the journal tightly in her hand, her knuckles turning white with the effort. Josh and Emma stood beside us, their eyes filled with a mixture of fear and resolve. With trembling voices, we began to recite the incantation Sarah had found in Rebecca's journal. The words echoed through the empty corridors, mingling with the oppressive silence of the dormitory. At first, nothing seemed to happen, and I felt a cold dread settle in the pit of my stomach. Had we been too late? Had Rebecca's spirit grown too powerful to be banished? But then, slowly but surely, a change began to take place. The air grew thick with energy, crackling with unseen forces. Shadows danced along the walls, twisting and contorting into grotesque shapes. I could feel Rebecca's presence looming over us, a dark cloud threatening to engulf everything in its path. With one final, desperate plea, we called out to Rebecca, begging her to let go of her anger and find peace. For a moment, it seemed as though she wavered, her ghostly form flickering in and out of existence. And then, with a sound like a distant sigh, she began to fade away, her ethereal figure dissolving into the shadows. As the last traces of Rebecca's ghost disappeared, a sense of relief washed over us. We had done it. Dormitory 13 was finally free from its curse, and we were free to move on with our lives. But as we stepped out into the cool night air, I couldn't shake the feeling that the darkness we had faced would always linger in the corners of our minds, a reminder of the thin line between reality and nightmare.
Story 2: The Cursed Campus Ritual. My name is Michael, and ever since I set foot on the sprawling grounds of Greenwood University, I've been captivated by the air of mystery that seems to hang over the campus like a veil. From the ivy-covered buildings steeped in history to the winding pathways that lead to hidden corners shrouded in secrecy, there was no shortage of enigmas waiting to be unraveled. It was during my sophomore year that whispers of a cursed campus ritual first reached my ears. Greenwood had always been rumored to harbor secrets, but this tale seemed to hold a particular allure, promising not just answers to life's mysteries, but tangible rewards in the form of academic success and matters of the heart. Despite warnings from the local community and campus staff, who spoke in hushed tones of the dangers lurking in the shadows, my friends and I were undeterred. We dismissed their concerns as mere superstition, convinced that we were immune to the dangers that had befallen others who dared to tread where we were going. As a student struggling to find my footing in both my studies and personal life, the allure of such a promise was impossible to ignore. And so, fueled by equal parts curiosity and desperation, I embarked on a journey with my closest friends, Jane and David, to uncover the truth behind the whispered rumors. Our quest began in the hallowed halls of the university archives, where we pored over dusty tomes and faded manuscripts in search of any mention of the elusive ritual. Hours turned into days as we pieced together fragments of lore and legend, slowly unraveling the tangled threads of history that bound us to the secrets of Greenwood. What we discovered sent shivers down our spines. The ritual, it seemed, had ancient roots, dating back centuries to a time when the boundaries between the mortal realm and the supernatural were thin. It was said to involve summoning a spirit known as the Guardian of Knowledge, who would grant wisdom and insight to those who dared to call upon it. But as we delved deeper into the lore surrounding the ritual, we uncovered tales of peril and tragedy. Many had tried and failed to harness its power, their souls lost to the darkness that lurked beyond the veil. It was a warning writ large in the annals of history, a reminder that some mysteries were not meant to be solved. But we were undeterred. Fueled by a mixture of youthful bravado and the tantalizing promise of enlightenment, we set out to find the location where the ritual was said to take place, determined to uncover the truth and claim its rewards for ourselves. As midnight approached, we found ourselves standing in a secluded grove on the outskirts of campus, the air heavy with anticipation. Jane and David lit candles and arranged them in a circle, while I recited the incantation we had painstakingly pieced together from ancient texts. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The night remained still, the only sound the rustle of leaves in the breeze. But then, slowly but surely, we felt a shift in the air, a presence looming just beyond the edge of perception. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, its form flickering in the moonlight. It was the Guardian of Knowledge, a being of pure energy and ancient wisdom. Its voice echoed in our minds, speaking truths that transcended mortal understanding. For a moment we were filled with a sense of euphoria, the promise of enlightenment tantalizingly close. But then, just as quickly as it had appeared, the Guardian vanished, leaving us standing alone in the darkness. As we made our way back to campus, the weight of what we had experienced began to sink in. We had glimpsed the true power of the cursed ritual, But at what cost? And what would become of us now that we had dared to tread where others feared to go? In the days that followed, strange things began to happen. Jane complained of nightmares that left her trembling in fear, while David became increasingly paranoid, convinced that we were being watched by unseen forces. As for me, I found myself haunted by visions of a dark figure lurking in the shadows, its eyes burning with malevolent intent. It soon became clear that we had unleashed something far beyond our control, something ancient and powerful beyond comprehension. The guardian of knowledge had granted us wisdom, but at a price too steep to pay. Desperate to reverse the effects of the ritual, we delved deeper into its origins, uncovering a dark truth that sent shivers down our spines. The ritual had been born out of desperation, a last-ditch attempt by a group of students to achieve success at any cost. But their hubris had unleashed forces beyond their understanding, condemning them to a fate worse than death. As we pieced together the final pieces of the puzzle, we realized the price we must pay for meddling with forces beyond our comprehension. Our souls were bound to the guardian of knowledge, forever trapped in a limbo between the realms of the living and the dead. As days went by, I realized that we should have been wary of the allure of forbidden knowledge, for it comes with a price far greater than you can imagine. I can only wonder what other secrets lie hidden in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered by those foolish enough to seek them out.
Story 3. The Malevolent Professor. My name is Alex, and I thought college would be a place of enlightenment and growth. But as I stepped into Professor Blackwood's advanced seminar on paranormal phenomena, I quickly realized that not all knowledge was meant to be uncovered. Little did I know, my journey into the occult would lead me down a path fraught with danger and deception. It all started during my freshman year at Pendleton University. I was eager to explore new subjects and expand my horizons, so when I saw the flyer for Professor Blackwood's seminar, I jumped at the chance to enroll. The professor was renowned for his expertise in the occult, and his seminars were always in high demand. As I took my seat in the lecture hall on the first day of class, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that settled over me. Professor Blackwood had a commanding presence, his piercing gaze seeming to penetrate to the very core of my being. Despite my nerves, I was eager to learn from such a distinguished scholar. But as the weeks passed, I began to notice strange things happening in Professor Blackwood's class. Students would disappear without explanation, their seats remaining empty, as if they had never been there at all. Others spoke in hushed whispers of strange rituals performed in the dead of night, of secret meetings held in hidden corners of the campus. At first, I dismissed their stories as mere rumors, the product of overactive imaginations and too many late-night horror movie marathons. But as the semester progressed, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. One night, unable to sleep, I decided to do some research on Professor Blackwood. What I found sent chills down my spine. Rumors abounded about his involvement in occult practices, whispers of dark rituals performed in the depths of the night. Some even claimed that he had made a deal with the devil himself in exchange for knowledge and power. Determined to uncover the truth, I delved deeper into the professor's past, scouring old newspaper articles and online forums for any hint of his involvement in the occult. What I discovered was more horrifying than I could have imagined. I uncovered a web of intrigue and darkness that stretched back centuries. Rumors whispered of his ancestors dabbling in the occult, their thirst for forbidden knowledge leading them down a path of corruption and madness. It was said that the Blackwood family had always been drawn to the shadows, their fortunes tied to the ebb and flow of arcane energies that pulsed through the veins of the earth. But it was Professor Blackwood himself who truly embraced the darkness, forsaking the path of righteousness in favor of power and prestige. Tales of his exploits filled the annals of history, each more chilling than the last. Some spoke of rituals performed under the light of the full moon, while others told of dark pacts made with entities beyond the mortal realm. As I sifted through the fragments of his past, I began to see a pattern emerge, a pattern of manipulation and deceit, of lives ruined and souls lost to the abyss. It seemed that Professor Blackwood's thirst for knowledge knew no bounds, his hunger for power driving him ever deeper into the shadows. And now, it seemed, He was intent on recruiting a new generation of students to further his dark agenda. As the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, I realized that I was in grave danger. Professor Blackwood was not the benevolent mentor he appeared to be. He was a malevolent force intent on using his students as pawns in his twisted game. Desperate to escape his clutches, I reached out to my classmates, hoping to enlist their help in exposing the truth. But to my horror, I discovered that many of them had already fallen under Professor Blackwood's spell, their minds clouded by his dark influence. Alone and afraid, I knew that I had to confront Professor Blackwood head-on if I had any hope of stopping him. Armed with the knowledge I had gathered, I confronted him in his office, demanding answers to the questions that had been haunting me since the beginning of the semester. But Professor Blackwood was not one to be trifled with. With a flick of his wrist, he unleashed a torrent of dark energy, sending me reeling backwards with a cry of pain. As I struggled to regain my footing, I realized that I was no match for the professor's malevolent power. But just as all hope seemed lost, a voice echoed in the darkness, cutting through the professor's sinister laughter like a beacon of light in the night. It was the voice of one of my classmates, a fellow freshman named Olivia. Olivia had always been quiet and reserved, but there was a strength in her that I had never noticed before. As Professor Blackwood's dark magic threatened to overwhelm me, Olivia closed her eyes and focused her mind, tapping into a well of power that seemed to emanate from deep within her. With a burst of energy, Olivia shattered the professor's hold over me, breaking the spell that had ensnared my mind. Together, we stood against Professor Blackwood, our combined willpower forming a barrier of light that pushed back against the darkness. As the battle raged on, I felt a surge of energy coursing through my veins, a power unlike anything I had ever experienced before. It was as if the very essence of the universe flowed through me, lending me strength and resolve in the face of overwhelming odds. With Olivia's guidance, I channeled this newfound power into a wave of energy that engulfed Professor Blackwood in a blinding light, banishing him from our midst once and for all. As the dust settled and the echoes of our battle faded into the night, I realized that our ordeal was far from over. Professor Blackwood may have been defeated, but his influence lingered like a shadow in the darkness, a reminder of the dangers that lurked beyond the realm of human understanding.